Is that weird?
That's weird.
Right.
But a little closer, about halfway, back there. I can actually keep it out of the frame.
All right.
And then you don't look weird, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it in.
Okay.
Because this is cinema verite. She knows what that means.
All right.
So, what do you think? Here it is, the morning after. You're totally immersed in women's issues yesterday. I know you went there. You had goals when you got
San Jose State.
Yes.
actual real goals.
Yes.
Did you reach those goals?
Yes, I did.
Graduated
What you told me yesterday was that you wanted to connect with other women.
Yes.
You have a project that you're looking for support for. So I'm doing all the talking. Did you notice that?
I have. I was waiting for a question. You're sort of answering. It's great.
So I'm just setting up. So what else happened?
I was actually really pleasantly surprised at the amount of, I wasn't really sure what to expect as far as a women's conference. This is the first one I've really been to, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be a lot of, man bashing or who knows, but I was really pleasantly surprised at the caliber of information and the people that were speaking. They really seem to have a passion and not just so much for, I don't know how to, not just so much about raising women up and down with men. It was more about, we just want what everybody's entitled to. Equal rights, equal pay, to be treated fairly, and I really resonated with that. And some of the people I actually got in contact with, and I'm planning on following up later to get involved, especially with Melissa Shriver's speech about education and the arts and stuff like that in the state of California. I thought, that's something I'm really interested in. And Karen Teagarden, we're going to follow up with her, and she's hopefully, we're going to work something out. Maybe she can help us support our project, and we can help her with her cause. But I definitely got a lot out of it.
So what are you doing here in the first place? Here's what I mean. You have a project. Tell me what your project is again.
We're doing a documentary called Journey Through Fire.
And it's about?
It's about a young woman who's a friend of ours who was incestuously raped by her brother for 7 years throughout her childhood. And it focuses on her psychology right now and her healing and how she uses art to heal.
So there's stories like that all over town.
Yes.
And you picked that one. Why? And not just because she's your friend.
Well, sort of. I mean,
what resonates in you? What's inside you that makes that an important story to tell?
I've seen her as a person, and I had a great childhood, great family. I mean, problems here and there like everybody does, but nothing really that affected me in such a profound way to feel like I was a victim or victimized ever. And so after meeting her and spending time with her and getting close to her, seeing how it's impacted her in such a way, it was just such a difference for me and sort of a shock from my reality, that to see that you hear about these things and you know that they exist, but to have it in your own life, in your neighborhood, is sort of an unreal thing to have happen. And just seeing the person she's become, it really made me, as well as the rest of our team, want to explore that further, to understand it and to see what we could do to help it, and to find out why nobody else is really making a difference to sort of help get that out there.
Okay, so you mentioned your team. How did your team become a team? How did you guys all get together?
Well, we're a production company, and so our two co-founders were best friends, went to film school together, and just love telling stories. I did not. They did. They did. Our two co-founders. They love telling stories, and they love more supporting the underdog, telling the stories that aren't getting told. And I do the marketing, and Mariana, who you spoke to earlier, does PR. There she is. And we sort of, through happenstance, met them. She met them in school and stuff, and we just really feel passionate about the same things they did, getting told, standing up for the people that don't have a voice. That's really important to us. She's trying to get on camera. You can't.
On camera.
She's a camera hog.
Yes,
I am not.
even when she doesn't look right.
I know.
What?
She's wearing a sweatshirt. Could you imagine?
I know.
San Jose State representing.
So we got involved because it's a way to express ourselves artistically and make a difference, but in a creative way.
And this event has expanded your idea of what the future might be for you, or am I putting words in your mouth?
It's given me a different idea of avenues to go down as far as reaching out and help and making a difference. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily hop into politics. Not really my forte, but it's definitely opened my eyes to... Everybody here was really open and helpful and supportive and open to talking, which is what I loved about the conference. It was, like I said, I've never been to one, so I didn't know if it was going to be this huge convention and, the speakers were roped off and you can't talk to them and no socializing. But, I turned around and Sandra Flick was sitting next to me and Karen Teagarden was behind me and everybody was thanking everyone for coming up and talking to them. And I just thought that was fantastic, a great opportunity to really meet people that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily go search out and try to find because you just sort of assume that they're aloof and untouchable.
So how did you hear about it in the first place?
Oh geez, I'm not even sure. I think that we reached out, we were looking for women's groups and women's organizations locally to sort of gain support from and form relationships and partner with. And we ended up doing the website for the event. And through that, sort of forming a relationship with Susan and hearing about it through that. I think we were trying to partner with the South Bay Women's Conference or South Bay Women's, whatever it's called. A lot of women's societies in my head lately, so I'm wishing their names together, sorry.
That's okay.
But she happened to be doing honoring women's rights, and so she told us about it, and we thought, oh, what a great event, and the great speakers, and a chance to really network with some awesome people.
Thank you.
No problem.
College students. You also get a different age dynamic. You're getting the future fighters. Exactly. A diverse group.
Say again what you want us to do. What do you want us to have?
I would love to see us host this conference and perhaps even get bigger with it on a university campus like UC Berkeley or Stanford, so that we could bring in a more diverse population as well as youth. I can't tell you how many young people I was wishing I dragged here, because to hear what we heard, to have young women hearing that and getting inspired, that's where it's at.
It's exactly what's going to happen next. I know it. I know it. We did reach out to the universities. It was
where they are.
We can't do it when they're about to start their semester.
Right,
They're starting a brand new school year right now.
Well, no, but I mean, if we were doing it again,
When would you want to do it again? What would you think?
I think in the spring, early enough so it doesn't conflict with exams, and not at the beginning of a semester.
So Susan, what would be here? Let me come back over here. Susan, what would be your ideal time of the year to have a conference? Especially if we did it at a university, what do you think? Because you're involved with education.
Well, we're involved with military education, so it's a little bit.
But you live in a college town.
That's right, we do, and there's 30 or 40,000 students in our town down in San Luis Obispo. I'm not sure. I know they're very active in October, actually, which wouldn't work for this year, but they're politically active in trying to get the vote out on the universities during that month. So, and they're not actually doing that in August and September in the summer like you think they might be for who's there in the summer, but October, actually, we're waiting for October for San Luis Obispo's university just because of that.
So October would be good. So they're not. So in October they're already enrolled, but they haven't had their midterms yet. So it might be a good time. So when do they have their big rush? Is it called a rush when you do they have their football of October?
Our university doesn't start
First week of school.
September 20th. Fall, I would say October. So,
Early October.
We get out the vote and registration drive in October, so it seems like it should be.
Other fish to fry.
So, shall we talk now?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, not at all. Okay. You want me to hold that?
Yeah, that's the microphone.
Okay.
And just don't.
All right, I just pressed it. Does it matter?
No, you don't have to.
Okay, all right.
Clipping it on if you want.
Okay,
You don't have to.
all right.
Excuse me. You had a very powerful presentation.
Oh, thank you.
I never got to say that to you, so thank you. That was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm guessing that it costs you something every time to get up and talk about that. Don't you get an emotional hit somehow? I mean, you have to. Here's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm just projecting on.
Okay.
You, is that there's a lot of sadness in your story?
Yes.
And you have to be able to connect with that in order to tell the story.
Yes. And what it is that I'd like to get to the heart of matters in regards to human beings. Whether they go through triumphs or sadness or tragedies or whatever, I want to find the heart of what makes people alive, what makes them feel. And I don't want to co-opt the story, but what I want to do is have the story come through me. There is interpretation on my part, but I don't want to impose my interpretation on the story, although in making the work, I make the selection of materials and ideas to carry the story further. So I'm basically looking for transformation in telling the stories. And so in terms of the two stories that I told in my presentation yesterday at the Honoring Women's Rights Conference, one about Bernice Bing and one about my mother, I went to the essence because their stories are even deeper.
Right.
And I get to tell that in the work that I make, or if my sometimes I give longer presentations and I can go into detail. And so I'm really interested in these stories because they are the narratives of under-recognized and underrepresented people. And I would really like the American art table to look like what America truly is like, inclusive and diverse. And that's not always true. And so instead of complaining about it, I feel that it's my responsibility to shut up and make the work and show it and talk about it. You know, I can whine and I can kvetch, I can lament. I'm good at that. I get an A+, but I will turn people off. And why do I want to turn people off? I want to engage their hearts. I want to engage their minds.
Let me ask you what you thought before you came to the conference, what you thought was going to happen.
I wasn't sure because I was a member of the national board in 1990s, and when I finished, I didn't have any more contact with any WCA chapter. And so my coming back was a time of discovery, a time of curiosity. I wondered how friendly the people would be, and they are extremely so. Susan is one of the reasons I came. She nurtured me throughout the process because I needed techie help to submit my work. She talked to me philosophically about the vision of the conference, and when she sat with me in Palo Alto one day and told me about the conference, I was just blown away. I went, okay, I can walk with this woman, because it was not an insular vision, it was a broad vision to acknowledge change and our role as women and what we need to do about the change. And then the other person that brought me to this conference was Priscilla Otani. She was the one who recommended me. When she called me, I said, "Are you sure you want me?" And she says, "Yes." And then I said, "Well, tell me why." And she told me, and I went, "Okay." And I love the warmth and the friendliness and the embrace. I had that with many of the leaders of the members of the national board, including Helen Klebesaddle, the president who recruited me. But there were some other board members that were not too welcoming. Yeah. So, I didn't know what to expect. And the beauty of the whole thing is that it's been an amazing experience. Connection, networking, sharing ideas, and the show is beautifully hung. The work is powerful. I got a chance to talk to some of the other artists to hear their ideas. I'm really interested in what other people do. It's not all just about me. I believe in a circular form of communication. I try not to go into a hierarchical path. And so I'm finding that this configuration of WCA from the local chapters that I found. The bones are great. The bones are really great. It's not perfect, but it's on its way to resembling an organization that I could be friendly towards and friendly with. I agree with the African American speaker yesterday that it would have been good if there were more. She was the only African American. If there were African American attendees, and so I just talked to somebody from the national board, and I asked, were there scholarships given? And I know that Susan had her hands full. But at another time, when a conference like this is planned again, that perhaps there could be a component of scholarship. I also know the economy is really challenging and it's hard to raise money. But, I know that in the future, I would be happy to donate to a scholarship fund for some worthy, lower class, I don't want to say a lower class, but less economically fortunate women artists to come. So I leave this conference with amazing energy. I come to these to get money in the bank. They're my assets because they will carry me forth in my activities.
The support and the exchange of ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've really been cocooning. I have major projects that I'm working on, and I was happy to go back into isolation again. And so this is bringing me out of isolation.
So what are you going to do anything different going forward than you might have done if you hadn't come?
Yes, I heard the call to actively get involved in getting people to vote in November. I can't do anything big because my calendar is so heavy. Next week I start teaching at San Francisco's rooftop school, so my schedule is really busy. But there's a person that is not going to vote that I would try really hard to convince to vote. So if she doesn't vote, even if I can get her to listen to me, because right now her ears are not open. And she will be affected by how the election comes out, and so I have a renewed respect for WCA. I love Susan's energy and vision. I don't care how fast or how slow she is, that doesn't matter to me. What matters is that her heart is authentic, and for me it's very pure. And her kindness, she truly nurtured me. And and that's what it's all about, is that we nurture each other. And I've met some fascinating people in the organization. And next year I have a huge project for my 75th birthday. And I've recruited some people, and pies, edible pies and art pies are a part of it. So I was able to recruit several people to make edible pies. So it's win-win. I come, I give, they come, they give. So it's this dance that we do. It's almost like it's the Hans Hofmann painting, where he used colors to push us into the canvas and he used colors to pull us out. So I feel like I'm here doing this kind of a dance at this conference, and I'm going home very energized. And I had the best roommate. Her name is Jerry Montana. She's the Native American artist, and I didn't know her at all, and we turned out to be muy simpático. And so, how could I complain? I always adopt the attitude that I'm blessed if something happens and I'm blessed if something doesn't. Well, at this conference, I've been triple or quadruple blessed, or even more than that. So it's been really amazing. Then I love the fact that you're here in support of Susan, and also the organization, and Kamala's husband. So it was good to see the husbands and the partners here. So again, I would repeat, I just wish there were African American women artists as attendees, And but it's good bones. It's really good bones, and the bones will grow muscle. Bones will grow, strong joint, and and it's really good news for the WCA.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what.
Then but I've never been here before, and I've driven by it plenty of times, so now I can say that
You've been to Salinas. Well, Salinas has two components. There's the old town centered around the Steinbeck, one Main Street, right? And then there's the rest of Salinas, which has gang crowd.
Oh, really?
And drive-by shootings.
Well, now you tell us that afterwards.
we're
In case we get lost.
We're in Old Town. Just don't walk around. So people that knew asked me, why Salinas? Well, because the Steinbeck, and it's, oh, you're in the historic district, no problem. That's right, it's completely different, no problem. It's like DC.
Right.
Oh, no problem, you're in the capital area.
Or Hartford, which is where I grew up, and Judy was talking about it yesterday.
So back to doing this again. So here's some things that have been lobbied and thrown out there. San Francisco. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I want to do San Jose because they have a huge convention center. There's a lot of hotels, lots of parking. It's a convention town. It's not really a cool town to go to unless you live there because you work in Silicon Valley. It's not a destination for travelers. It's just a song, the way to San Jose. But it's made for conventions. But is that going to be a draw for people?
San Jose.
You're close to San Francisco, but it's not San Francisco.
Right.
So the other thing is, how about a university centered around a women's program, like maybe Stanford? Because Stanford's women's program was the only one that went bonkers on getting. We had complimentary tickets donated to us. We were given a stack for each university's women's program. And Stanford was the only one that said, yes, oh my God, this is wonderful. Too bad it's our week that we're just starting classes because it's really hard, but we'll try really hard to get here. And there was plenty of them that showed up. So how about Stanford is expansive, there's lots of parking, there's lots of hotels, it's in the middle of Silicon Valley, you can get to San Francisco, and there's a train stop right
I
on
like
Stanford
that idea
campus.
better, personally.
Then San Francisco's hard to navigate, hard to park. There's areas in San Francisco that are dangerous also, that people that are uninitiated, they wouldn't know, and more expensive.
Right, and if somebody wants to add an extra day on, they could...
Yeah, go up there. Yeah. And Palo Alto has a lot. We lived in Palo Alto for a long time. I lived there for 20 years. And they've got amazing restaurants. So I am going to lobby for Stanford and see if we can do something. Now, here's the other thing. Who underwrites it?
Right.
Do we have a sponsor? Do we have our own group now?
Well, I'll tell you, the way that Blogger does it is that they do have people underwriting it. And what that allows them to do is cut the ticket price in half. So what I can maybe introduce you to the people who actually run the conference and see if they have any suggestions. But just in terms of their business model, they get big corporations, Lowe's, Procter & Gamble. But they're at the point now where 5,000 people attend the conference and probably another 20,000 watch it virtually online. So, which is another thing you might want to consider doing.
We did consider that for this, but then
it gets complicated.
Yeah. Well, the media center that donated the equipment, they had a professional services team coming, and that's when I said we can't afford it. But part of that was live.
Right, but once you're filming it, you can just go onto Ustream. Yeah. That doesn't cost anything. But there's ways to do it as a virtual conference also. So when you go to your sponsors, you can say not only is it the X amount of people that are here, but we're doing it virtually also, and we reach multiple.
And then it's going to be on. We'll also just break it up and have those different talks go out like TED does. Right? TED is live, and then they also stream, and then they also have the backup. You can go look them up any talk you want.
Right.
So WCA is a nonprofit 501c3. Right. They're also an NGO. They're a 40-year-old group, and my particular chapter is 20 years old. It's the second oldest chapter in California. There are mixed feelings by WCA executives about
raising money.
Not just raising money, but being the nonprofit that is the name, right? So I think it's really important to keep the art involved. So I've got to either convince them that it's okay, or take them out of the center and just have them be the 501c3 associated, so people can have a nonprofit they're donating to something. But I don't know how that works. How much on the side can you be if you are the nonprofit?
Well, what about if they're? Why does it need to be a nonprofit? Because if you get somebody to sponsor the conference, they're not looking for a tax deduction. They're looking at it as a marketing expense.
Okay.
I assume if you're looking at that level of.
Okay.
So maybe WCA is just one of the sponsors.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, we just work with them to bring in the art. So it's like what WCA does with CAA. They broke off a CAA 40 years ago because there was no women represented on the board. And this CAA, College Art Association, was already 80-some years old at that point. And 40 years ago, if you're not going to put women on the board, they're waiting for it. Yeah. Go ahead, make my day. All right, we're going to break off. So they broke off. and they stayed there. So they were a caucus of CAA. Now they are completely separate, but they're always attached. When CAA has a conference, WCA has a conference with them. They are not financially or legally attached, they are just socially attached. So that could happen. They have those relationships.
Hi. Good morning.
How are you doing?
How'd you sleep? I'm doing good.
I'm doing okay. I've had a rough night's sleep, so that's why I'm a bit late. But I'll get some coffee and I'll be good.
You were, what, you got a lot of threats on YouTube? What happened?
No, I disabled that, but no. Yeah. No more threats. Tired of you. Go away.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all good.
And they don't want women in combat. See, you guys got nerves of steel, I'm telling you.
The nerves are inside. You know, we're very so welcoming, but it's like.
It is. Yeah, I've seen it. Go get your coffee, whatever you're having. Yeah. I mean, all Republicans in the world are afraid of. Hello, Jill.
Hello, Carl.
Your turn has finally come.
My turn. I've been waiting, Mr. Danell.
Could you hold that for me? Thanks.
Okay, your mini mic.
Now, this part.
This is the part where we're talking about communicating to younger women, college-age women, why they need to vote for their own equality.
Why do they? Who cares?
It's going to cost them about $400,000 if they don't.
Wow.
If you want to go through your whole working life and at the end of it have $400,000 less, less than a man doing the same work with the same education, same commitment, everything. In fact, you'll probably do more for less because people are going to keep asking you to do that. If you want to do that, if you want to give up that $400,000, don't vote. If you want that $400,000, vote for equal pay, vote for equality, vote for yourself. If you don't want that $400,000, I'll take it. But I'm saying you should probably get it for yourself.
Vote for yourself.
Vote for yourself. Pay yourself. Yeah. How about you pay yourself? Yeah.
Cool.
It's good for it's good for the economy if you pay yourself, because you will take that $400,000 and you will actually grow the economy. You are not being selfish. You are being extremely open by earning the money and getting the real money that you earned, that you've studied for. You're in college, you've worked your butt off. Don't lose that $400,000. Earn it, spend it, live it. It's yours. But if you want to give it up, don't vote. That's hey.
A message.
If you don't want the money,
I don't think you used to think like this before you came to this conference.
I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I've experienced those little personal digs through my life where someone thought at some point, an potential employer thought that maybe some point I would have to pick up a kid from daycare, even though I didn't actually have a child. That cost me. That cost me real money. Yeah. They're no longer in business, by the way, but that's their problem. Yeah. So they're actually losing out too, because they're people who think that women aren't capable, aren't worth it, are actually missing out on your real talent, on your capabilities. You have something to give. You're not a taker. You're a worker.
And voting is the answer.
Voting is the start. You need to do that. You need the start. Yeah. You need to vote for your own equality. Imagine that we're still doing this, but we are. But vote for your wallet.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay.
How you feeling?
I'm tired.